Okay, it's 5 o'clock, straight up and down. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. It's always great to see a crowd here. And I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order on March 10th, 2026, and ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas?
Present.
Commissioner Wilson? Mayor Bray?
Present. I will ask Commissioner Henderson to do the invocation, if you would, and then we'll all remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord of heaven, again, we're grateful for the day that you've given us, and we're grateful for the blessings that we right now enjoy. Father, we are so grateful that you've given us the privilege of serving this city called Paducah. And we always pray, Lord God, that you'll give us wisdom and discernment and help us to make decisions that will be good for the masses and not just for a few. Father, we pray for those who serve here. We pray for those who work here. We pray for our citizens and ask you to cover us all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first up, we have a couple of proclamations. The first one is for the American Red Cross, and the second one is for Brain Injury Awareness Month. So I'll come to the podium, go to the podium over there, read the proclamations, and then those of you who are in the audience that are here for that, we'd like to take a picture if we could. So. So whereas March is recognized as American Red Cross Month, a time to honor our neighbors across the nation, both staff and volunteers, who make the humanitarian mission of the American Red Cross possible. And whereas for 145 years, the American Red Cross has provided relief, comfort, and hope when help cannot wait, reflecting a compassionate spirit that runs deep within our community. And whereas the staff and volunteers who serve with Western Kentucky Chapter respond to emergencies by delivering shelter, food, and comfort after disasters, ensuring a safe and life-saving blood supply, supporting military members, veterans, and their families with a 24/7 global assistance, and empowering individuals with life-saving skills such as first aid and CPR. And whereas the American Red Cross is a volunteer-led organization, and these dedicated volunteers represent the very best of our community's generosity and civic spirits. And whereas these collective efforts are a powerful reminder that the strength of our community lies in our shared commitment to care for one another and ensure no one faces an emergency alone. And whereas Red Cross Month provides an opportunity to celebrate our local heroes and renew our commitment to service, preparedness, and compassion. Now, therefore, I, George P. Bray, Mayor of the City of Paducah, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 as American Red Cross Month. All right, we can all... we want to do it over there.
Here,
maybe,
yeah.
I think it's a little bit of a fire drill.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for all your work that you do within the community. And I know we have some folks here from Neuro Restorative. Did I say that right? Yeah. Okay. So I've been there. I was there for your grand opening. I'm really impressed with all the work that you do there. So, whereas brain injuries are a leading cause of death and disability worldwide, affecting millions of people each year through traumatic and acquired injuries, and whereas millions of Americans sustain brain-related injuries from falls, vehicle crashes, assaults, opioid overdoses, sports-related injuries, and other accidents every year, and whereas brain injuries can result in lasting physical, cognitive, emotional, and behavioral effects that impact individuals, their families, caregivers, and communities, and whereas prevention strategies greatly reduce the risk for brain injuries, and whereas Brain Injury Awareness Month serves as a time to promote brain health and injury prevention and honor the strength and resilience of those affected by brain injury. Now, therefore, I, George P. Bray, Mayor of the City of Paducah, do hereby proclaim March 2026 as Brain Injury Awareness Month. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for everything you do. You do great work. Okay, the next item is City Manager. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, there are none this evening, but for the record, would like to qualify that Commissioner Wilson is absent because she is attending a meeting on the city's behalf.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, now we have public comments, and we have a few people here that are that want to make. How many people do we have? 3, 4. These comments are related to, I think, the Catterjohn site, so we'll start out. Mr. Taylor, Richard Taylor. And sir, before you get started, just state your name and address if you would, and the commission is really not geared to answer questions or interact, but we would just ask that you respectfully keep your comments to 3 minutes. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Richard Taylor. I live at 1501 Jefferson Street. I'm the president of the Jefferson Street Area Association. And this association is on the National Register. In 1982, we were put on the National Register for historical areas. And this paragraph summarizes what we do. The residential qualities of the Jefferson Street, Fountain Avenue area have been protected by the efforts of the Jefferson Street Area Association. Members of the association have worked for 30 years to prevent commercial encroachment into the neighborhood. The fact that the neighborhood retains so many of its historical structures is due to the work of the neighborhood association. This was in '82, so since then, so it's, over 50, 60 years that we've been an association, protecting our neighborhood. We were very shocked when less than a month ago, on the 12th of February, we came to a planning commission meeting, and they presented that the Catterjohn block was going to be like this, with 12 houses, all 6 houses facing 6 houses without any facing Jefferson or Broadway. So we were very shocked about that. So the timeline, I believe you have a copy. The clerk has given you timeline of all that we've done. We won't go over that, but we have been hard at work since the 12th of February because this was a shock, and we didn't know what, we didn't like it. Because with this plan, then along Jefferson and Broadway, people will just see sides of houses and perhaps privacy fences. So therefore, that's not very good to the neighborhood. It doesn't add to the neighborhood, it detracts from the neighborhood. And so therefore, this timeline shows all the different things we've done, talking to the Planning Commission 2 times, meeting several times, and we've tried to do our best to see what can be done to stop this. Now, the proposal number 3 that I think you have is lists what our third proposal to about this project. And one of the things on point number 5 is 9,800 square feet is what the depth of the 4 lots that we're saying they take the 4 lots near Jefferson, turn it around and put 4 houses facing Jefferson. That's our proposal. And so we've done that. We've talked to Steve Mills. He met with us. We talked to Kyle Joyner, his civil engineer. And unfortunately, he tells us that the minimum buildable space is 6,000 square feet for Paducah. And we have, with all these different things here, that setbacks and easements that I met with today, and Kyle instructed me on how to change this, so this is not exactly right, then we have only 3944 square feet of buildable space left after all the easements. And so therefore, it's under the 6,000 square feet, unfortunately, and we're not pleased with that. But we're not sure what we can do because that was our proposal, is to change to 4 lots. An option would be to take 6 lots and put 4 houses. But that would be 10 houses instead of 12 houses. So that's our situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Coscarelli.
Thank you. I'm about to set my watch. I'm Bill Coscarelli, 220 Fountain Avenue, Paducah. And this is my second time in discussion with zoning issues for the historic district. A generation ago, I lived in Carbondale in a historic district. I swore I would never live in one again. And now I live on Fountain Avenue. And I'm a member of the Jefferson Historic Agency. When I was in Carbondale, I was involved in a couple of community events with zoning. And I got to know one of the city managers, the planner, and she was really nice. She said, I think there's a special place in heaven for people that care about their city, and I hope to be there. And I think she will be. I do. She cared about it all. And where she told me about this, so I was sitting on a curb with 7 other neighbors on a street, Main Street in Carbondale, talking about a zoning issue. She felt that before they went anywhere else with discussions, she should talk to the neighbors who were affected. She brought us all together, and this is where we had our discussion about what they were thinking to do, what they had to do, what was going on. And it was before anything ever showed up officially. After the staff had worked with the stakeholders, people that lived in the neighborhood, people that paid the taxes, then they went back and College Street and worked on what they might propose. So what I find, to echo Richard's comments, is that what in the world's going on here? This is the last minute. How come I just hear about this now? How come I didn't get involved in this early on? I'd be glad to. I think there's a win-win here, but what's happened is we're smack up against a deadline. And I remember Gail Keller talking about this problem with our last zoning issue. And so my comment is that I do think the houses need to face Kentucky. My theme has always been Kentucky, Jefferson. I'm sorry, not Kentucky, Jefferson is the necklace of Paducah. We need to maintain that necklace. We don't need to have things sticking out on the wrong end of it. So what my sense is that I think a lot of these last-minute issues could be avoided by early on discussions with the people. And the city planning people know the people that are involved. It'd be easy to make a call and get a meeting and just get on with it. So my sense is I speak to the idea of maintaining the integrity of the historic district. That's one of the things that attracts people about this place. We have a lot of people coming once the nuclear stuff takes off. There's a lot of people that are going to be interested in having their family in Paducah, and they're willing to make the drive out to West Paducah. And so I think this would be a logical and likely place. So I just encourage you to follow the history of Paducah and to change the planning practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coscarelli. Jack Burry?
I think I'll pass, Mr. Mayor, Richard and Bill have pretty much summed up what I would say. So.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Ms. Burry?
I don't think there's anything that we can do to change the Planning Commission and what you're going to do tonight, but I just wanted to express that Jefferson Street Area Association has been here for a long time. Jack and I have lived here. We lived downtown for 4 years, moved away for 6, came back for 28 now. In the same, we're just actually five houses from where we were at the beginning on Jefferson Street. So disappointed that no one thought to check with anybody on that, you know, either the historical district or the Jefferson Street Association before the plans went into effect. So, and then thinking of new people coming into town, what's to keep them from buying a couple lots just right down like 13th to 15th and doing another little subdivision. So, I mean, it seems odd. I have faith that it will turn out nice and look nice. But it's very disappointing that we weren't considered or consulted or even see you at the coffee shop and talk about it. So I hope that things will change too and echo what everyone else has said. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, before we move on to the consent agenda, I'd like to make a couple of awards tonight. We have a couple of guests in our audience tonight, Mr. Brandon and Nikki Allen. So I want to talk a little bit about this, and I don't know if my other commissioners really have met the Allens or are familiar with Allen Music. Allen Music is a business downtown. Brandon, I believe, is third generation. You can correct me if I say anything wrong, Brandon, but it started out as Allen Sewing Machine in 1945, and since that time, it eventually converted into a music business. They have taken over a lot of the buildings in the between 2nd and 3rd Street on Kentucky Avenue, and they have expanded. I mean, it's they've got one entrance right there on Kentucky Avenue, but when you go into the building, I mean, you can see, you know, Paducah is really an arts community, and music is part of that arts. And Brandon and Nikki have, you know, taken on the task from Brandon's family, you know, to carry this business on. And it's where so many musicians in Paducah go and buy instruments. They trade in instruments. I mean, you cannot believe the collection of traded in used instruments that they've got. I mean, bands, they got practice rooms there for bands. It's really an amazing facility that you really can't tell from the outside. And so I wanted, Brandon, we got together a couple weeks ago, and he was showing me around, and it was the second time I've been in the building, but I wanted to make everybody else aware that weren't of the fantastic job that they do. And tonight I wanted to make both of them each of them, one of them a Duke of Paducah and the other one a Duchess of Paducah. So if you'd come forward, I'd like to bestow these awards on you.
Oh. I wish I
You got your T-shirt on. Yeah. So, I mean, I wear one 6 days a week. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Appreciate you coming. Appreciate all that you do for the city.
Yes, thank you.
If I could just play one instrument.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I flunked out of harmonica lessons. So,
Radio's an instrument,
okay, we will move on to the consent agenda, and items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item would be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. So I'll ask the city clerk to read these items unless anybody has an item they'd like to pull off. So go ahead, Lindsay.
Approve minutes for the February 24th, 2026 Board of Commissioners meeting. Receive and file documents. Appointment of Jennifer Cook to the Paducah-McCracken County Senior Citizens Board to replace John Durbin, who has resigned. This term shall expire June 30th, 2029. Appointment of Paul King to the Commissioners of Waterworks to replace Randy DeHart, who has resigned. This term shall expire January 6th, 2029. Appointment of Rick Cochran and reappointment of Mark Kettler to the Paducah Golf Commission. Said term shall expire March 26th, 2030. Personnel actions, a municipal order acquiring the property located at 729 South 13th Street and reimbursing the current owner Teddy Bear Estates, Sheila Kirkendall, the sum of $9,729, and authorizing the mayor to execute the deed and all documents related to same. A municipal order declaring the real property located at 715 Jones Street, Paducah, Kentucky, to be surplus property, authorizing a real estate purchase agreement with Teddy Bear Estates for the sale of said property in consideration of $1 and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement, the deed, and all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing and directing the engineering department to release a request for proposals for the repair of storm pipe at pump station number 5. A municipal order authorizing and directing the engineering department to release a request for proposals for the design, engineering, permitting, and construction administration of the Coleman Road Sidewalk Project. A municipal order authorizing the application for and acceptance of a Kentucky Pride Fund composting grant in the amount of $502,416 for purchase of a TR6500 TX track trommel screen and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order declaring certain police vehicles to be surplus property and approving the transfer of surplus police vehicles to the McCracken County Schools in consideration of $19,000. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute an addendum to the Hotel Metropolitan co-stewardship agreement between the City of Paducah and the Uppertown Heritage Foundation, providing for a one-time advance payment of $25,000 for operational support of the Hotel Metropolitan and the Purple Room.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So the next item on the agenda is municipal orders, and the first one is the development agreement with Westwood Development for the property, the Oda Catterjohn property. And I'll ask the city clerk to read that, and then Carol Galt will come up and give us an update.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order declaring the real property located at 1501 Broadway to be surplus property, authorizing the transfer of the property to Westwood Development LLC in accordance with the development agreement, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement, deed, and all documents related to same.
So moved.
Second.
Good evening, Commissioners, City Manager, and City Clerk. And this evening, we have before you the Westwood Development Agreement for the Catterjohn site in the 1500 block of Broadway. As you all will recall, we issued a request for proposals that was due back in to us on March the 31st of 2025. And at that time, we only received two, one of which was fully funded and was essentially ready to go. And we did some negotiation with that developer from that point on, and then we've ended up where we are today with the plat that was submitted and the appraisal and all the things that came in your packet with the development agreement. At the end of the day, where we've ended is 12 homes with an average of $400,000 for each home, 1,800 square feet. So it's approximately a $4.5 million project. The name will be Clayton Park. And, you know, there had been some discussion about that, but Mr. Mills has settled on that. And then we've set up an incentive of a construction rebate of 5%. And he has 2 years to break ground and start the development. And then the incentive caps out at 5 years. And after the 8th lot is sold, everything that's in common space will transfer, including the private drives that you've seen on the side of the plat, will transfer over to the HOA in perpetuity. He's met with Greg Ebert. His engineer, Kyle Joyner, is present tonight. If there's a question, Greg's present as well. And of course, it's been to the Planning Commission with 2 public hearings. And as Mr. Taylor mentioned, the Jefferson Street Area Association did meet with Mr. Mills earlier last week.
So the process that we went through, we had planning and went through, you want to talk about the process?
Sure.
You know, just recap it for the commission.
We, as we all know, we're in a housing crisis, and according to the Kentucky Housing Corporation study, we're right now in 2024, was the last time they did the study, we were about 3,800 rooftops shy. And so I think it was at that time that the decision made, we would like to see residential single family there if at all possible. We wrote the RFP to try to attract that. We had several developers that were interested in the beginning, but at the end of the day, when the time came, we only received 2. And one of those was fully funded. The other one had not, did not have funding, was in search of a partner at the time. And so at that point, we entered into negotiations with that developer, and this is the end result. And of course, it takes some time to get that final plat through. Then it goes to the Planning Commission. They make sure that it has stormwater and all the things that it needs by state law. It's just a checks and balance system. They found that to be accurate. And then the second reading, they typically don't have a public hearing, but we stepped outside of that process to give the neighbors a time to communicate and talk again. But then the Planning Commission did make it as a favorable recommendation to the commission.
Okay.
So we did go above and beyond what we normally would do to
Our
make
precedent is-
sure that the neighbors knew, understood, and we're ready.
Yes. I think Mr. Taylor would tell you, we've talked on the phone quite a bit in the last month, but typically there is a public hearing, and that's the first thing that's done, and the adjacent property owners are made aware of what's happening, and we followed that process. Then after they came and talked and made a second proposal, we got the final plat in on Thursday before the traditional Planning Commission meeting, which is the first Monday of the month, which was March the 2nd. So I called Mr. Taylor and explained to him that they would open it up for a public hearing again if they would like to come back. And then we set up a meeting to meet with Mr. Mills and talk through why these changes, and they had made some proposed changes and why he felt like those couldn't be done. And he said, let me go back and meet with my engineer, which I believe he did, and Kyle's here tonight and can answer those questions. But I think they did spend some more time looking at trying to turn the houses. And of course, you know, when you get to impervious surfaces and storm water requirements, and there's lots of things that come into play there. That's why they have engineers that do that.
And I asked that not because I don't believe that was done.
I understand.
I asked that because I want to have a resolve within myself that we did everything that we needed to do. And in this situation, went beyond what we normally do to make sure that residents knew what was happening.
I totally understand why you're asking.
Okay.
I appreciate the question, and I feel like we did.
And I would say, I'll just say this. I mean, I have followed this, every step of the way, from the very beginning. Of course, I went through the process where neighbors were, across the street from the Catterjohn property. When it was still there, we're calling and complaining about, everything. And then we went through a heck of a process, to take that building down. And definitely, we had to be pretty aggressive, in order to get that done. But I think, the commission from the beginning has wanted housing to be in there because we have a housing crisis, in America, in McCracken County, in Paducah, and in the city itself. And so we have wanted housing to go in there, and I think another thing that as we thought about, is that there's a trend away from, the non-traditional home.
It's true.
Away from, larger yards, smaller, lot lines this is a national trend. People want less maintenance, and so these are all things that we considered, in this process. And so, but I understand that, some people are not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just have a comment, and that's just, I really appreciate the passion and the caring, and it comes from a good place in your heart. And I lived on Jefferson too, and I understand how precious Jefferson is. So I just, I just understand, I think this is going to be a good project, but I absolutely appreciate you all for your caring about City of Paducah and your neighborhood and all that. And I think that, we need more.
I think Jefferson Street Association and other organizations that are passionate about Paducah, are one of the things that makes Paducah so special.
Absolutely.
I mean, because
Absolutely.
it is a very special place. Any comments here? Okay.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Galt. Okay, I would please ask the city clerk to call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Mayor, if it's in order, may I just
Please,
make a
explain your
statement
vote.
before I cast a vote? I don't ever want our residents to come to these chambers and feel as if we have heard them, but we haven't heard them. And certainly I want the same thing to happen tonight. I want to make sure the residents know that we do hear their concerns. And so I've taken the time to try to understand all the challenges that are there, to make sure that I know what's going on, and I do. I've driven around the property. I've done all of that, and may even agree with some of the things that have been said. However, with all of that, I still think that the bottom line in the overall of this is still a good project, and it is still going to be something that is going to be good for the city of Paducah. And I'm always saying we want to make decisions that are good for the masses and not just a few. And I think this is one of those decisions that will be good ultimately for the masses. So I vote yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Yeah, I'm going to explain my vote or just make a comment. So, for all the reasons that, Commissioner Henderson, I mean, I have watched, I've watched both planning and commission meetings. I was not able to attend. I've seen the comments. I have worked with Ms. Galt and the developer every which way that we could to make sure that this was the project that we needed to do. And I guess at the end of the day, I believe that this project, 5 years from now, because it's going to take a while for it to build out, but 5 years from now, not only will this be a project, that's good for this city, but also will raise the values of homes on Jefferson and will be a good project overall for those who live there. It'll take some time for that to happen, But because of that, I vote aye. Okey dokey. We have one more municipal order tonight, and I'll ask the city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Payment and Discharge of the City's General Obligation Bond Series 2013A and the Payment, Discharge, and Defeasance of the City's General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2018B, authorizing the deposit of existing general fund revenues of the city in the sinking fund for the Series 2013A bonds sufficient when combined with existing funds held therein to pay and discharge the Series 2013A bonds on their earliest practical redemption date, authorizing the deposit of existing general fund revenues of the city in an escrow fund for the Series 2018B bonds with U.S. Bank Trusting Company, National Association, as escrow agent sufficient when combined investment earnings therein to pay the discharge the Series 2018B bonds through maturity, authorizing the execution and delivery of all additional documents or certificates necessary to achieve the foregoing and taking related actions."
So moved.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. Your approval of this municipal order tonight allows the city to retire 2 small remaining bond issues using existing funds that we already have on hand. The 2013A bonds are callable, so we can pay those off without penalty. The 2018 bonds are not callable, so we will place enough money in the escrow with the paying agent to cover all remaining payments through maturity, which effectively satisfies that obligation. Taking this step will eliminate these balances and reduce our future debt service commitments. Just a little background on these bond issues. The 2013A bonds were originally $1.12 million, utilized to finance Noble Park pool renovations. And the 2018 bonds were $2.67 million, which refunded outstanding 2003 and 9 KLC lease agreements. And those original agreements were utilized for various public improvements. The outstanding principal amount on the 2013A and 2018B issues are $265,000 and $495,000 respectively. And this early redemption will save us around $30,000. It will also reduce debt service requirements and appropriations of approximately $270,000 for each of the next 3 years.
So just curious, what were the interest rates on
That's what I was
those?
going to ask.
Yeah,
Well, I have also brought Mark Rawlings here with Baird to answer those questions that you might have.
Those bonds had various remaining interest rates on them that they were essentially 4%. They're the highest interest rate bonds that the city actually has right now. So when Audra asked about which bond issues should we prepay, can you look at these two? I was like, well, those are really your 2 best choices because they have your highest interest rates that you guys are currently paying.
so really, I guess we're not getting a big return on the money, the cash, I guess.
The money that we're how we have those current funds invested is yielding about 3.5%.
So you're earning less than you're paying on those
Yeah.
bonds, so it makes sense in that regard.
Spread's just 0.5%.
Yeah.
I was just hoping it'd be more, but I know how things are now.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
this particular redemption that we're doing right now is to freeing up appropriations
And
from a
bonding.
funding source.
Well, the problem, Commissioner Smith, is our finance people are doing too good a job of getting,
No, it is.
of putting our money out and getting,
But that's crazy about, it was to redo the Noble Park pool,
Yes.
and then I hear rumblings that the pool needs to be redone again. So, that says about 20 years ago?
13.
13, okay. So that's kind of sad. Every 13 years, you got to spend a lot of money on the pool. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? We good? All right.
Thank you, Audra.
Thank you. I'll ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. We have one ordinance to adopt. We We had the first reading a couple of weeks ago, pretty rich discussion, but I'll ask the city clerk to read it again.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Granting a Non-Exclusive Franchise for a Term of 10 Years for Telecommunications Systems Within the Confines of the City of Paducah, Kentucky to Lumos Fiber of Kentucky, LLC, pursuant to the terms and provisions of Chapter 108 Telecommunications of the Code of Ordinances, and approving and authorizing the mayor to execute the franchise agreement and all other documents related to same." This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance accepts Lumos Fiber's bid and grants a non-exclusive 10-year telecommunications franchise in accordance with Chapter 108 of the Code of Ordinances, authorizing Lumos to construct, operate, and maintain telecommunications facilities within the public rights-of-way, subject to the city's regulatory standards, fees, and oversight requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Just I have questions. Of course, we mentioned last go-around, we probably hadn't had time to gather some information on the, where this fiber's going to be run, because I know we've had, this is probably the third or fourth fiber company we've had coming in saying that they're going to, got areas of the city that are underserved, and is this in the packet, or? Okay.
So they actually provided an updated map today. This is their full proposed 3-year build-out plan on the first page. So that shows that it is basically covering most of the city of Paducah, ultimately over that 3-year build-out. The second page will be the original map that shows where they're kind of starting their build-out at.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of looking at, because I was interested in where they're starting. And I'm not sure that this tells me where they're starting.
Yep, so the second page kind of, where they will start is kind of near Heartland
So they're
Church,
going this way.
and then spreading out that way, and their longer-term plan covers most of the city.
And are they committed to develop this part in the city?
This is their
that-
plan as of right now for the next 3 years.
But is
They've
it a
engineered,
commitment, I guess, is my question?
So the franchise agreement, basically, they have given us what is proposed right here, this starting area. And then they will go through the permitting process like others do through the right-of-ways to do the individual permits for each section that they take on.
I think Commissioner Smith's question may be, could they
Obligated.
do all this county and then not come to the city?
Yeah.
Well-
And you may or may not know, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, the portion that we are only authorized, or you as a body are only authorized, is the city limits.
Yeah.
Right, so
Right.
yes, and so they could, do that out there, but you're authorizing for them to have an agreement within the city limits. And I believe they've taken the same action with the county for that aspect. And Madam Clerk, correct me if I'm wrong, their intent is to be mostly underground, is that correct?
Correct. The franchise, the purpose of it is to protect the right-of-ways. It does not hold them to exact areas that they're going to. They give us an overview plan, and then they do their permitting just like any other,
So this can change.
They can change their plan.
it can.
One thing, I know that this is coming up, and I apologize to you guys, because y'all are coming in after, 3, and I don't know how many we got, 3 or 4, and there's been a lot of, I think just, it's done a lot of wrecked yards for long periods of times. I understand you have to do that, had wires, stuff hanging down off telephone poles for a long time. Just, I really think poor customer service from the way the city looks. I talked to 2 guys in my office were complaining about AT&T having wires running on the top of their yards for 2 and 3 months, saying, "Oh, we're going to get there, we're going to get there." And I've asked Greg if he could, that city engineer, if he could make sure in the permitting process that there is something in there where you guys say, "Hey, if we're going to do this, it's going to be done in 2 months," or whatever. So I'm sorry, I know this is, and I don't know if he can do that, but I've just asked him to take a look at that, and I don't know. You know.
Well, I think, so I'll let, come right on up.
Yeah, so, my name is George Kemp, just for the records, Construction Relations Director for Lumos. So to answer your first question that you had, the way we operate is that we actually have to have board approval for our corporation to be able to go into an area and to build it out. We have full approval to build out everything that's on that front page. So everything that you see for the entire city of Paducah that we've got painted out there, we're building that. You can almost take that to the bank. I haven't seen yet in any of our build-out areas where we have not built out what our KMZ file is, what that shows. There would have to be something major. Maybe between us and the city, they found out something that it's like, well, you just can't go into that area for some reason.
Yeah.
But you can take it to the bank. We are coming here. We are interested in building out your entire city. That's why it actually threw me back a couple of weeks ago when we were here, and I didn't know that you actually got that other map. That's just where we're initially starting, because I had actually ridden out the area and I saw that we're going to build the whole area. As far as restoration goes, when I actually sat down with your folks a couple of weeks ago, I shared with them that there are two things that actually make us totally different than anybody else when we come through. Because we always know that other fiber builders, the two things that we hear from municipalities are, we didn't even know they were coming. Their contractor was in the area and they started building, they didn't even have a permit, and our residents are getting upset about it. So we went through and we actually shared the number of ways. We communicate and over-communicate multiple times before we even start construction with the residents where we're going to be doing. Same thing with the city. We provide daily street sheets and things like that for everybody to know that we're where we are each and every day, where we're working, so that we can be accountable. Then on the restoration side, that's the second one. Communication is really, really bad with most fiber companies. Restoration is really bad with a lot of them. And the ones that go before us hurt us because we're totally different than the rest of them. We've got a great call center. We've got a card. I gave it out to most of the other ones. I don't have them here with me tonight. That card, the information that's on it, is to a call center for construction only, so you're not going to the sales group. That information is on all those pieces of information that we actually send to your residents in advance. That information is on sandwich boards that are in the neighborhood while we're doing construction. We try to over-communicate how a resident or anyone else can get in touch with us and let us know if they've got a restoration issue. We actually are required that when somebody actually contacts us about a restoration issue, within 24 hours, we have got to, it's mandatory with us, to get in touch with that resident or the city person and to be able to understand what their concern is or answer their questions for them if it's just a question. And then in a short period of time, usually within 2 to 4 days, for most complaints, we can take and resolve those issues. So we understand. I usually share this up front as well. We understand. If we're going to come in here and we want to actually get some of your residents to actually take on our service, we got to take care of you through the construction phase. Why in the world would you want to go? And we've actually heard that from some other folks where we've gone in there before, and the folks have said, wow, you really did a great job here. The fiber company that came before you just totally destroyed everything and never would listen to us. So we're going to abandon them and we're going to take your service. That means a lot to us.
I hope that happens.
So that's why construction and restoration. Now, are we perfect? It's construction. And you got a crew out there that we may just be bringing in that's new to us and we're checking them out. We may have to get rid of them because they didn't restore properly, but we will restore. We'll take care of it. If a contractor doesn't take care of it, Lumos will.
Thank you.
Okay, that was about as good a sales pitch as I've heard in a while.
Yes, it is.
Guaranteed. Y'all heard that, guaranteed. Thank you, George. I'm just teasing you.
Yeah.
Before we vote, I'd just say one more thing. You know, I've seen all this work that's going on down here on 3rd Street, you know, into the city, you know, where they've got one lane. Who is that just doing that work?
Greg, is that
Gas.
gas? I think it's Atmos.
So the only thing I would say is that I would like to make sure, I mean, I assume that you know where all the work is. I'm making that assumption that as city engineer, that you know exactly where all the work is generally being done, maybe not. And I think that it would be good for the commission, you know, to kind of understand where that work is done in terms of some sort of an email with a map. Here's what's going on this month, this week, whatever, you know, because I'm not sure we always know where work is going to be done, but I guess I'm relying on you, city manager, and you, Greg, to make sure that we do know. And I assume you know where the work's being done. And if they leave or they come in, I think we need to know that. And I just don't know how that communication is happening on the other end.
Yeah. And it's a great point, Mayor, and Assistant City Manager Smolin and I have talked about this, and we've talked about that with engineering. With our GIS mapping, we think that there's some opportunity that we might be able to plot some of that information for the commission and have a broad sense of where somebody is or is going to be. So we're working on some
Okay.
opportunity there.
I think that would be very helpful for
I
all of
agree.
us to know
I
where.
think that's a great idea.
Absolutely. Okey dokey. So where are we?
Ordinance adoption.
Okay. I'll ask you to call roll then.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So we have 3 ordinances to introduce tonight, and I would ask the city clerk to read the first one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 126 zoning, Section 3 definitions of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance amends Chapter 126 zoning, Section 3 definitions of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah to allow medical cannabis dispensaries to use their logos, symbols, and branded colors on their signage at their dispensary premises. Signage cannot be illuminated by neon lights, and off-premises freestanding signs are expressly prohibited. The Paducah Planning Commission had a public hearing on March 2nd, 2026, and forwarded a recommendation that the City Commission approve the amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Pretty much, Lindsay just summed it up. It's pretty cut and dried. Nature Med is coming in, and they have other locations, and they strictly want their signage to match what their other locations have. They have 2 here in Kentucky, Erlanger and Carrollton, and then they have 5 that are in Missouri. And it pretty much just allows them to utilize the same signage and operate the dispensary, which you all know where that's being built. There's only one in our community. Yes.
I guess I don't remember, I read it, but I guess I didn't really see it. What's the difference between our
Currently, we don't allow any logos, any, a certain font. We wouldn't allow that. We don't allow any color. I mean, right now, we didn't really have anything in the text amendment. This is new for us. This is the first one we've had.
So it was just for this type of industry?
It's
Okay,
only for medical
understood.
cannabis dispensary, yes.
When we
Yes.
developed that, staff looked at what the state was requiring and not requiring, and so took that as the baselines. There are certain things that still that the state
Yeah.
prohibits from
Correct.
doing. But an oversight on our part is not to check that, and be similar to saying that a big box store retailer couldn't have their logo up on the thing.
Understood.
That wasn't the intent. It was just an oversight on our part on the front end.
And
So
at-
we're looking to correct it.
At the time, there was question about whether it would have cannabis leaves in the logos and those kinds of things, and it does not. And it doesn't allow for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
No?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I would ask the city clerk to read the next ordinance introduction.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Paducah and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 1586. This ordinance is summarized as follows, that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute an agreement and other associated documents between the City of Paducah and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Local 1586. This agreement shall be effective from July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2029.
So moved.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor,
Stephanie.
City Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. I'm just here to highlight a few of the changes from the AFSCME agreement. So beginning in January of '26, the city negotiated updates to the labor management agreement, including revisions to the grievance procedures, vacation policy alignment with our personnel ordinance, clarification on personal day requests. The agreement adds Veterans Day as a holiday, increases the boot allowance, updates uniform and equipment replacement language, and reduces the number of required labor management meetings per year. It also provides base wage increases to maintain competitive rates with cost of living adjustments tied to state compensation limits. The last part is just to increase the duration for a 3-year agreement.
Can you I know you can't go through the whole thing, but the grievance procedure, what?
That one just updated. We had language using the Kentucky Labor Cabinet for mediation services, and they no longer require that.
Okay.
So this is the introduction of the ordinance. And the next one, this is for the
This is for ASME.
the ASFE
Correct.
union, and the next one is for the police department. So,
Correct.
So we've got both of those contracts settled once we pass.
Yes, at the second reading, both will have representatives here to do a signing for those
Okay.
agreements with you.
Similar to, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Similar to the next one you'll hear is that, we started from a base of how do we be competitive? How do we also take some of the language that's in the contracts that we have in personnel policies that's good for the whole organization? And we had duplicative language in there, so we want to make sure that they aligned up with. So that's where the base is. I want to give kudos to Stephanie and our other team members that have been involved with this and negotiation, but also to ASME's representation. And I'll say the same for the Police Department Bargaining Unit. They both came open with a willingness and a spirit of, this is the city that we work for, and it's not the union that we work for. And so we came to, we believe, as a fair and agreeable contract. And I think because we're here tonight, that's been borne out.
Yeah. Great job, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Both only took 3 meetings, so it went well.
That's great.
Excellent work.
They do good work, too.
Okay, I would ask the city clerk to read the next one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement and other associated documents between the City of Paducah and the Paducah Police Department Bargaining Unit. This ordinance is summarized as follows, that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute an agreement and other associated documents between the City of Paducah and the Paducah Police Department Bargaining Unit. This agreement shall be effective from July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2029.
So moved.
Second.
Is there anything really much different here? I mean, it's.
The only change on this one are the mandatory annual physicals, and that's pretty, we're phasing out the retiree life insurance from those. So anybody currently taking it would be grandfathered in, but as of July 1, that will no longer be offered.
And this is the mandatory physicals for our police department?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody good? Okay, I think we can move on then.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank
Staff,
you.
thank you very much. Great job. The next item is a discussion item and about Noble Park, one of the city's greatest assets, celebrates our 100th anniversary this year. And Anna Taylor is here representing our Parks and Recreation Department to talk a little bit about how we may celebrate this. Taylor?
All right,
Welcome.
thank you. Mayor, City Commissioner, City Manager, City Clerk, appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about Noble Park 100, which is the 100th anniversary of Bob Noble Park here in Paducah. All right, I've been a resident of Paducah for 11 years, so I have only lived through a small portion of the 100-year history, but I've been able to do a lot of history research, as well as talk to some other people who've been around a lot longer than me. So the history portion is because of a lot of that research that I'll talk about here. But first, I want to talk about the goals of our Noble Park 100. First, that is to recognize the history of Noble Park. Over 100 years, a lot has happened that's benefited our community and our region. So we will be highlighting that throughout the year, through social media posts, through information in the park as well. Secondly, we want to celebrate memories that were made within the park. This includes memories that have been made over the years from people with their friends and family, but also the memories that will be made during the celebration the upcoming year. And then thirdly, we do want this to act as a springboard for future improvements and care. We know a lot of people care about Noble Park, and we want to make sure that we are caring for this park into the decades to come. Through some work between myself, Pam Spencer, Amy Clark, and Dan Shepard from WKCTC, we did come up with 2 logos for the Noble Park 100. The logo on the left there, I would consider to be the main logo, recognizes Noble Park 100, the years of the park, as well as Paducah, Kentucky. And then the logo on the right will be an alternative logo that we will use with different things as well throughout the year. All right, I'll give everyone a little bit of a history lesson now on Noble Park. So 1926 is when the story begins. In 1926, Robert H. Noble made a $10,000 donation to improve city property that Paducah had for a couple years that was kind of referred to as Forest Park at that point. Robert Noble was kind of a park commissioner at the time. He also was a successful businessman. He owned a sand and gravel company in Paducah. And so he was willing to make that $10,000 donation with kind of the notes that the park be named after him, and they would build an entrance and a fence to kind of note the entrance of the park. So in April 2024, the park was officially named Bob Noble Park. That was his request, not Robert Noble Park. He wanted Bob Noble Park. And then also that time, Irving Cobb wrote an inscription for a bronze tablet that would be dedicated at the park. That is still in the park. It's been moved to the inner park loop there, kind of between the road and the lake, but you can still find that tablet there. 1926 was a busy year. They did build the castle entrance. At that time, they built the concrete wall, as well as they dammed the lake, and they added lighting in the park that could illuminate at night. So moving on to 1928, more park improvements. There's a golf course, 6 tennis courts, baseball field, horseshoe pitching grounds were also opened in the park. And then moving on to 1935, this was the last kind of major donation by Bob Noble, but he made another donation to pave the roadways in the park, as well as improve the playground areas of the park. 1937, that was when the Noble Park pool opened. Also, that was the year that Robert Noble did pass away as well. He is buried in Oak Grove Cemetery. And then the other kind of note for this time frame was 1951. On the H.C. Mathis Road side of the park, there is kind of a stone entrance built there as well. That was built in 1951, and that was dedicated to the early kind of park superintendent, L.L. Nelson. I do have a couple pictures here from the early portion. They're a little small, I know, on the TVs, but that is Captain Robert Noble. He was not in the military, but everyone did refer to him as Captain Noble. The top right, those are pictures from the newspaper that does show the original castle, as well as some pictures of the lake. On the bottom left there, that's from 1935. That is construction of the Noble Park pool. And those are, I believe, horses or donkeys helping with that construction. And then the bottom right picture, that is from the newspaper as well, but that is opening day at the Noble Park pool in 1937. All right, next time frame, 1953 to 1988. That does coincide with kind of the opening and closing of Funland in Noble Park. So 1953 was when Noble Park Funland did open to the public. As well, the 1950s, that is, up until that point, Noble Park was for whites only. Basically, our 2 major parks, they were segregated. Stuart Nelson opened in the late 30s, Stuart Nelson Park, and that was for African Americans, while Noble Park was for whites. So the 1950s, that started to change. Don't have a whole lot of documentation on this, but at that time is when the pool and the park became more available to everyone in Paducah. Again, 1953, that's when Funland opened. 1972, that was the first major renovation of the Noble Park pool. At that time, too, the size of the pool was reduced. In 1977, the tennis courts opened in their current location where they are now. And then 1985, the Wassinton statue was dedicated. And in 1988, that was when Funland closed. A few more pictures here. Top left is one of the trains from Funland with the lake in the background. Bottom left is their carousel. The top right, that is a picture of the castle entrance from 1965. And then the bottom right is another picture of the pool that was from 1959. It's still the same pool house as that time, but it was originally white and the roof was flat. And people could go on top of the roof while they're at the pool. All right, next, 1989 to present day here in 2026. There's a lot of work done in the 90s. 1992, there was another major renovation of the pool. And then 1994, the original castle entrance was demolished and replaced with the entrance that we have now. 1995, there were major improvements to the Noble Park Lake. They drained the lake, they rebuilt the gazebo, and they added the footbridge across the lake. At that same time, they built the playground on the south side of the lake, and that's the existing playground that's still there now. So both of those were done in 1995. 1998, the tennis courts next to the pool were converted to basketball courts. So for a period of time, there were two separate tennis court facilities. And then in 2000, that is when construction began on the Peck Addition Road. Mr. Lane Peck donated that property in 1999 in honor of his wife, which connected Noble Park to Carroll Road. Also, 2005, moving on, the current amphitheater was constructed and Shelter 16 opened to the public, which is our largest shelter in the park. 2006, our Noble Park Skate Park opened. In 2008, the Greenway Trail opened, and there's the trailhead there in Noble Park. And then in 2008, also the Boundless Playground opened, and that was the first accessible playground in Paducah. 2010, there were major roadway improvements in front of the pool and the amphitheater. So basically the configuration you see now with the parking lots and the road, that was all redone then. 2013 was the last major Noble Park pool renovation. In 2014 and 2017, we had the Noble Park Lake Phase 1 and Phase 2 bank stabilization projects on the south side of the lake. Using the term Noble Park Lakes because in 2018, that was when it was officially renamed Lake Jerry B. Montgomery. And then 2020 was when the Noble Park Music Garden opened. 2023 was when the pickleball courts opened, and 2024 was opening of the dog parks. I have a couple pictures here. These are all staff pictures that we found in a photo album. The top left there is construction of the new castle entrance. The top right is a picture from the ribbon cutting of the new basketball courts in 1998. The bottom left picture is of the Noble Park Lake in 1995 when they drained it before they built the footbridge. And yes, those are people walking through the lake at that time. And then the bottom right there, that's a picture of the pool from the early 90s after that 1992 renovation. And that's the history lesson. We'll move on then. So our plans for this year. The first thing I decided to talk about is our Noble Park 100 tree planting. So a great way to celebrate 100 years of the park is to plant 100 trees in the park. The goals of this is to add more diversity to the tree species within the park, as well as plant many younger trees to complement all of our existing older trees. A few numbers for everyone. The last official tree inventory was in 2007. At that time, there were 1,733 trees. And at that time, 59% of those were either post oak or cherry bark oak. Lots of trees have fallen or been removed. We've planted some new ones too. That kind of just gives you an idea of, basically there's a lot of oak trees in Noble Park. So our goal is to plant more trees. We will be planting some white oaks, some bald cypress, some red maples and sugar maples. That will add some more youth to our tree canopy. This is a good opportunity for the public to get involved. We've not always been very outward in getting the public to sponsor or donate for things in Noble Park. This will be one opportunity that we'll be asking businesses, individuals, or clubs to sponsor trees for this tree planting. So essentially there'll be one tree for $200, but there'll be options for them to sponsor 3 trees, 5 trees, or 10 trees, and that will cover the purchase of the tree, the planting, the mulch, and then making sure we were watering and caring for them to get a high percent of these to last throughout the first few years.
Are the trees going to be interspersed within the other ones, or are you going to plant them in an open area? How do you do that? And if someone wants to sponsor a tree, is there like a name tag or anything, or is that, I know that's a lot of work. But,
so some trees will be planted in open areas, but for the most part, these trees will be planted within the current groves that we have. So if let's say 10 years from now, maybe there's a pest that knocks out all of our oak trees, there will be some trees already coming up. And then the plan was to recognize all these companies within the park, but not at each individual tree, just at like one location that's public facing. We also will have a gift shop out of our Parks and Recreation office, so if anyone is interested in buying some Noble Park items, we'll have some things for sale. Think of t-shirts, posters, magnets, some of your swag items that you've seen elsewhere. So there'll be opportunities for that in the coming months. And then our Noble Park 100 celebration. We have planned for this on Thursday, July 30th through Sunday, August 2nd, a multi-day celebration of Noble Park. This will incorporate some things we already do as well as some new things. So for example, the Thursday night, we will have our movies in the park showing Back to the Future, as well as a pop-up farmer's market before the movies start. We will have concerts planned for Friday and Saturday evening, as well as on Saturday will be kind of the big day with the most activities, but we'll have recreation activities like a fun run, yoga in the park, we'll have kids activities, arts and craft stations, maybe some mascots as well. And then we'll also have kind of a history walk. So the goal is to have some signage around the lake for people to learn about the history, but also if we're really fortunate, we may have Mr. Robert Noble make an appearance as well. And then lastly, discount rates at Noble Park Pool to encourage people to use that facility, which has been one of the longest serving facilities of the park. And there's me citing my sources of the pictures and the history research. That's all I have for the presentation. If anyone has any questions, I can try to answer those best I can. That's all I have.
Really interesting.
Yeah, thank you for your work on that, your planning. I think it is. I think a lot of people are interested in the 100th anniversary. I do think there's people that will be interested in helping with trees. I've had a couple of people reach out to me. One in particular, who actually does not live in the city but is a tree guy, and he's reached out to me and wanted to have a specific telephone conversation about how we were going to go about replacing trees in Noble Park because of their age and coming down, you know. So I think there is interest from the community on this, and so we just need to work to publicize it. Work with Pam. Pam will do a great job of helping you on that. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Taylor.
Good job, Taylor. Okay, city manager, any comments?
None this evening, Mayor.
Okay, comments from commissioners?
I have just a quick one. I've really talked to a lot of people that are really happy about the tree program. They're excited about getting their tree, and so just kudos to, I guess, this commission for approving that, but also kudos to city staff because I know there's a lot of work went into that. So.
Well, let's be honest. Kudos to you, because you helped lead this effort.
Yeah, well,
and,
thank you.
So that was, really, really good.
Keep going.
So, anyway, yeah, that was, it's been great. So, unfortunately, this last week, I did have somebody stop me in a coffee shop and say, Mayor, I really want a tree, but I didn't get my name in time. And so I checked with Amy, and we're already into this, and so I had to tell them, wait till next time, and I never like to tell people no, but.
Yeah.
And I was tasked with reminding you about that.
Okay, done.
That goes to the show about the popularity of it, and we've already talked about in the budget process of continuing that.
Yeah, so there'll be another opportunity for folks that didn't get in on the first one. Okay, we will have an executive session.
And I just
I'm sorry, I
You're fine. You forgot about me because I haven't talked lately, but.
Yeah, you've been so quiet tonight. What's up?
I don't know, the weather probably, but no, it's getting warmer. But no, I just wanted to say, because we've had a very successful past year, and when it comes to housing, especially with this big decision tonight, I've had a lot of feedback from community members really pushing on that affordable housing piece. And I know even with the South Side plan, you know, that's housing that's coming. So I'm just hoping now that we've, you know, agreed on the Catterjohn project that we're looking for the next opportunity to really put a focus on that affordable housing piece, because that's one of the things that I've really been wanting to push on, and a lot of community members have been pushing on, because, you know, Catterjohn, that's for a higher price bracket. So really just looking for that next opportunity for a project that can focus on affordable housing.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, I mean, that is a focus. It may not appear that it's a focus, but it is a focus. I know that Carol has told me that there's going to be a development on the north side. It's outside of the south side, but I mean, Carol is talking with developers constantly. I mean, I talked with somebody this week, you know, and we're trying to get, you know, people interested in the south side lots. We have all these lots. And I don't want to recant this, go through all this, but, you know, it's hard to build anything for less than a couple $100,000. I mean, it's very challenging, you know, in today's market with the price of materials and labor and whatnot, you know. So, you know, the city's South Side program is designed to, you know, prop up, you know, the price of these houses, affordable housing for people who want to, you know, want to work up. And so, I'm glad you brought it up. We're still focused on it. It's really important, you know, and I mean, really, this is a time to say, you know, I mean, Paducah is getting ready to really grow. And we've got projects going everywhere. In my lifetime, I've never seen it like that. And so there is going to be a need for housing, more housing. And not only single-family homes, but rental. There's going to be all kinds of construction jobs that are going to be coming here. It's going to take a couple of years for all this to roll out, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, now we do have an executive session tonight. We are not going to take action afterwards, and I would ask the city clerk to please read the motion.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics. Future sale or acquisition of a specific parcel of real estate is permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1B. Proposed or pending litigation is permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1C. Issues which might lead to the appointment, dismissal, or disciplining of an employee as permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1F, and a specific proposal by a business entity where public discussion of the subject matter would jeopardize the location, retention, expansion, or upgrading of a business entity as permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1G.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.